Alright, this is Fantasy Football in 5, and we are back for yet another week. This will be more or less our Thanksgiving themed week, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Last week was week 10, so if you haven't seen last week's video, please check that below. And it'll be just me this week again. Taylor is still out visiting his family for Thanksgiving. Alright, so some studs to start off this week. We can begin with Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, Doug Martin, DeAndre Hopkins, Spencer Ware, Thomas Rawls, Carson Palmer, Mason Crosby, Jonathan Stewart, Julio Jones, and LaShawn McCoy. Now, Jameis Winston absolutely carved up the defense this week for Tampa Bay. He threw for 5 touchdowns, tied a rookie record, threw for 246 passing yards, in a great win for the Bucs, and he has led them to a surprising 5-5 record this far. Cam Newton, on the other hand, he stuffed the stat sheet, also threw for 5 touchdowns, and led the Panthers to another win to add to their perfect 10-0 season. Okay, so some duds this week. Can start off with Antonio Gates, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, Alan Hurns, the Philadelphia defense, Matt Jones, Phillip Rivers, Devonta Adams, and Rob Gronkowski. Now, Phillip Rivers has an absolutely pitiful week this week against the Chiefs. He only threw for 178 yards, 1 interception, and no touchdowns. Excuse me. He should be able to turn it around though, because he's a pretty high-profile quarterback. But it was a bad week for him and for the fantasy world in general, as it was a very bad week for a lot of players and a lot of teams. Okay, so the injuries list this week begins with Joe Flacco, Justin Forsett, and Colin Kaepernick. They are all out for the season and were placed in the IR last week. So if you have them on your team, you need to get rid of them now. These guys are questionable. John Brown, Chris Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Michael Floyd, Emmanuel Sanders, Owen Daniels, Jarvis Landry, the whole Patriots wide receiver core, Mark Ingram, Malcolm Floyd, Ladarius Green, Carlos Hyde, Case Keenum, and Larry Donnell is out. So these guys, Devonta Freeman, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. Now, Joe Flacco tore his ACL and his MCL in a pretty gruesome injury. So he'll be out for the season, and so will his running back Forsett, who broke his arm against the Rams this week. Okay, so some news in the NFL this week begins with gangrene. The Jets waived Quentin Coples. He was a former first-round pick. He hadn't meshed well with Todd Bowles' defensive strategy, so they released him, and just best wishes to him in the future. The Browns demote Johnny Manziel to his 3rd string after they found out he was partying and drinking on their bye week, which I don't see why he wouldn't, because they already suck. So the Panthers suspend defensive end Frank Alexander 1 year for violating the substance abuse policy. He is the 2nd player this year in the NFL to get that penalty. He joins Aldon Smith. The Broncos signed Christian Ponder with Peyton Manning sidelined, so Ponder will be Brock Osweiler's backup going forward. The Rams wide receiver Stedman Bailey is out of surgery and in intensive care unit for 35 days. He was shot in the head. He's already suspended, but just prayers go out to him and his family. Just pray for safety in the future. Okay, so some waiver wire pickups you should consider this week. Thomas Rawls, Spencer Ware, Graham Gano, James White, and Owen Daniels. Now, Graham Gano is a Panthers kicker. You really wouldn't think about picking up a kicker this late in the season, but he has been on a tear recently. If you look at his numbers, you see he's scored at least 15 fantasy points, I think, the past 2 or 3 weeks. So great for him. And their offense is performing very smoothly this season. So he's a really good fantasy kicker right now. There are no bye weeks this week, so here's players to drop instead. Peyton Manning, James Starks, Danny Woodhead, Terrence Williams, Jason Witten, Tyron Austin, Roddy White, Alfred Morris, Andre Ellington, and Andre Johnson. Now, we said a couple of weeks ago you should pick out James Starks because Eddie Lacy had been slacking and he was overweight. That's true, but now Lacy has gotten into a little bit better shape, taking over the role again, so you should drop Starks now just to save you some troubles in the future. And Manning, as you know, we said drop him last week. Drop him, still continue to drop him because Osweiler played well last week, and his injury is still bothering him, and he's been a terrible quarterback this year, fantasy-wise, so drop him now. Alright, that was Fantasy Football in 5. Thank you for watching. We deliver all your fantasy news in 5 minutes or less because who wouldn't want to watch a 30-minute video on this topic? This is the week 11 recap. Next week will be 12. Stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe. Our fantasy team, on the other hand, we lost by just a handful of points this week. It was a terrible week in fantasy all around, and I'm pretty sure many of you can attest to that. But we still hold a spot in the playoffs, and all we need is one more win in these 2 weeks, or for the team behind us to lose one game. That's all we need to clinch a playoff spot. So stay tuned for next week, and please subscribe.